Hello friends, my name is Sandhu and I'm a CICC licensed immigration consultant based out of Ontario, Canada. Today we will talk about Ontario's human capital priority stream. Really good stream, maybe probably the best stream, and the number of people they invite is the send notification on trust is really huge. For example, just in 2023 till September, they have sent notification of interest to 14,000 applicants, right? So we will talk about the eligibility criteria. We will talk about which kind of occupations they have invited previously in this year specifically. And then we will also briefly talk about what is the process to apply. So how do you apply and what is the typical process looks like. So let's hop on to the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program website. And in this, you'll see there are many streams. So you have employer, foreign worker, international student stream, in-demand streams, master's, PhD. And then there are three streams, which is human capital priority stream, skilled trade stream, and French speaking skilled worker stream, right? So the one we are talking about is human capital priority stream. So if I go here and if I open there, so let's talk about some of the requirements first. So the first thing you need to understand is that first you need to have a valid profile in Express Entry, right? And you must have 1 year of work experience. That is the must, right? And that is anyway a requirement if you have to create an Express Entry profile, right? And after you have created an Express Entry profile, you will be assessed either under the federal skilled worker program or the Canadian experience class. So what it does it mean is that even people from inside Canada, or if you're living abroad and you're working abroad, so both are eligible to apply under this specific stream. And if you look at the federal skilled worker program, you need to have at least the same requirements which are anyway for federal skilled worker program specifically, which is at least 1 year of continuous full-time work experience in tier 0, 1, 2, or 3 of the National Occupation Classification Code. And the very important thing in this is your work experience obtained in the last 5 years from the date of submitting your application. So here we are not talking about, within 10 years. It has to be within 5 years and in the same primary occupation as you identified in the Express Entry profile. So if you're in the Express Entry profile, let's say you have 1 year experience in dentist and 1 year experience in some kind of, let's say, uh, sales manager, for example. I'm just putting in a hypothetical example. If you're a sales manager and if they're not inviting sales manager, so that will create problem for you. So you need to have your primary occupation, the one which is in demand, which Ontario is looking for. So those are the important criteria. And similarly for Canadian experience class, you need to have at least 1 year of experience within the last 3 years, right? So that could be cumulative, doesn't have to be continuous, right? And if you look at the education, this is where a lot of people get confused. So the education requirements is the minimum of bachelor's degree, right? So either it could be a Canadian bachelor's or it could be a bachelor's from outside Canada, as long as you have education credential assessment done for that, right? So very important thing in this is that there are many organizations. For example, you have CES, you have ICAS, and you have so many like World Education, they call it WES. So you have so many organizations which are designated by IRCC from where you can get the education credential assessment done. But the important thing to note here is that there are few of them where you need to take an extra step, right? So one of the extra steps, for example, in case of World Education Services, is that you have to order a copy of your education credential assessment report online and indicate the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program as one of the recipient, right? It's just not enough to have a VEST report, which, immigration report. You also have to then order it for separately for the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program as well. And that will only be required, for example, at the time if you get a notification of interest and when you're going to apply. So you don't have to panic right now. And then you have the language requirements, whether you have English or French. So CLB level 7 or higher in all abilities. You need to have settlement funds. So same settlement funds which are normally required as per the IRCC requirements. But the very important caveat in all of this is that if you already are working in Ontario, so you can be using your job offer and or your annual earnings from your ongoing employment can be shown towards meeting the settlement fund requirements, right? So that is what it is. As for any kind of PNP stream, intention to live in that province, so intention to live in Ontario is obviously a paramount importance, and you need to have legal status if you're already in Canada, right? So if you look at the overall picture, so in this year from January till September, so the number of notifications of interest were 14,091, which is huge. And if you look at all these draws which has happened, so one thing you will note that so all the draws were targeted draws. So what are they looking for? So if you see at the first one, which happened on February 2nd, 2023, so you had a health draw, you had a tech draw, and then you have health draw, and then March you have tech draw, May you have tech draw, May again you have health draw, tech draw, health draw, tech and health, tech and health, and health draw. So what does it tell us? It tells us that Ontario is specifically focusing either on the healthcare occupations. There are so many of them they are focusing this year, or they are focusing on the tech, typically IT related. For example, you could have a software engineer, programmer, web designer, those kind of professions. So we will look at some of them. So let's look at the some of the draws which has happened, and that will give us some ideas to what is going on. And let me just basically filter that. So if you see the last occupation draw which has happened, so that was a CRS score of 350 to 462. So they're looking at a CRS score. So if you look at compared to a federal express entry draw, so the federal one which happened just recently was around 500, right? So there they're looking at 350, but that's only for these five occupations, right? So you have nursing coordinators, registered nurses, and the one which is very, very easy to get experiences is nurse aides, orderlies, and patient service associates. But that's not all. So these in the last one they have restricted to five, but previously, all the healthcare draws they have, I think, lot many occupations they have targeted. So let's go and look at those as well. So if you look at the draws which happened in August 17, so the score was 473 as the lowest score until 516 and 473 and 495. So if you see now, so the number of occupations which they invited is, for example, managers in healthcare, surgery, dentist, dietitians, pharmacists, physiotherapists, nurse coordinators, nurses, opticians, uh, dental hygienist, dental technologists, medical radiation and medical laboratory technologists, pharmacy technicians, dental assistants and dental laboratory assistants. So these kind of occupations, I'm assuming they're not very hard to get. You can really get these jobs very, very easily. So medical laboratory assistants, nurse aides, pharmacy technical assistants, and other assisting occupations in support of healthcare services. And if you look at the track ones, you can see you have computer and information system managers, data scientists, database analysts, computer system and developers, software engineers, software developers, web developers, and computer engineers, right? So if I go even below, so if you look at all the previous occupations, pretty much, and you will see a pattern. The pattern you see, you have so many occupations in the healthcare draw, and that draw which happened, so the CRS score was 458, which is pretty low as compared to what we have having for a general draw in express entry, right? From that comparatively is pretty good. And same with the tech occupation, so same repetition is happening. So if I go even further, again in May draw, so you have the same. So if you see, the pattern here is that if you have these occupations, they are being constantly invited one after the other, right, in so many of these draws. So that tells us that these are the in-demand occupations. Having said that, Ontario or any Pacific province can change these occupations at any time, right? But from a pattern you can get some kind of probability. Nobody can be 100% sure, but you have some idea as to what are they looking for, right? So now we will look at the what is the typical application process. So if you see that, the first thing you need to have is step one is having an express entry profile. So that is number one. And then you also have to have all the eligibility criteria which we were referring to. For example, you have bachelor's and your experience should have been, if you're assessed under federal skilled worker program category, so you need to have that experience of 1 year continuous within last 5 years. If it's CEC, one in last 3 years. So those conditions definitely have to be met. Let's say if you have the express entry profile, then what will you get is you will get a notification of interest. So you will get notification of interest. The moment you have get the notification of interest, you will then apply to Ontario. Your application will be submitted within 45 calendar days. So this is the submission to the Ontario OINP program, right? So this is what I'm talking. This is not express entry submission. So this is submission to the Ontario immigrant nominee program. So after you submitted the application, they take around 70 to 100 days to process the application. And if you are nominated, so that will show in your express entry profile, right? So when it shows in your express entry profile, you will have 30 days to say yes or no. The moment you say yes, I'm okay with that. So in that case, you will get 600 points in your express entry profile. And the moment you get 600 profiles, 600 score. So what this means is that in the next draw, whenever the general draw happens or a PNP Pacific draw happen, you will be invited in the express entry, and then you will apply to submit your application for permanent residence within 60 days, and the rest is history. So if you look at the sum of the cost, so the cost is $1,500 to apply to Ontario, so it's not free, and that's how you basically submit your application. So if you go here, it says submit your application, and yeah, so follow the steps basically, and then you'll say whether you're a new applicant, and then you go there, Ontario Express Entry, and you basically fill the form as it goes. So if you want to book a consultation, you can always go to my website. It's www.thelimmigration.com, or you can reach out on a phone. And my number is 437-848-7200. And if you like this video and you found this slightly useful, please do like and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you're notified anytime I upload a new video, which I've done for so many other programs as well. You can always check my YouTube videos at my YouTube handle, which is at Real Dil Sandhu. So thank you so much, and I wish you all the success in your Canadian journey.